Kicking things off, we have the founder and CEO of Vapi.
Hi, everyone.
Please give a warm welcome to Jordan Dearsley.
Hi. Big day. Thank you so much for coming out. 3 years ago, I was having an existential crisis. My company was falling apart, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. So I pulled out my phone, and I thought, hey, what the heck? I'll ask Siri. And after giving my 2-minute ramble to Siri, it said, sorry, I can't help with that. For some reason, we have models that are millions or billions or trillions in parameters of size, yet we still can't talk to them like humans. Technology doesn't get us, and doesn't talk to us in our language. And yet, if we solved this interface and interface distribution problem, it would be the most important shift in how we live and how we work. Today, I'll be talking about our evolution, how we got here, our destination, where we're going, and our path as Vapi and how we play a part in that. And by the end of it, I hope you'll agree that voice is the next great milestone in human progress. So first, let's talk about how we got here, or more specifically, how I got here. This is a picture of me when I was about 8 years old, jailbreaking an iPod Touch. It was a familiar sight for my parents, and it was because I was an anxious kid. Social interaction and humans generally just really freaked me out. It was hard to understand all the rules and nuances that went into communication with other people. But for some reason, computers made sense. They were binary, black and white. And so I was drawn to them. I would spend all day in my room just finding different ways to connect with them. I would build these crazy voice interfaces. I would build AR and VR versions of my desktop, anything I could do to get closer to these devices. And so, when I was 15, I read this article from Tim Urban. He has this blog called Wait, But Why? And it talked about how AGI was coming. And this is well before OpenAI was talking about it or anyone else. And so I felt like a crazy preacher going out telling the world about this concept. I grew up in the Catholic Church, and yet I believed this more than I believed in the Bible. So as you can imagine, the moment that ChatGPT came out absolutely rocked my world. And you remember that moment, right? You put text into this chatbot, and out came, it created like actual content, actual text out of nothing. Like, holy shit, right? And that created my second existential crisis. What is the purpose of my life now that everything in humanity is digitized? And the next couple of years, I got obsessed with trying to talk to it like a human. Similar to when I was a kid, finding ways to get closer to my computers, I was trying to get closer to these agents as well. And I looked around, and I couldn't find a way for me to just walk and talk with an AI agent. This was before OpenAI real-time and all that. And so I ended up building this therapist, Harmon. And I worked out all of the kinks of the turn-taking and the latency and the background noise cancellation and all that. But no matter how many Band-Aids I put on top of the flaws of the models, it still just didn't feel right. Something was fundamentally missing. While the entire research community was focused on generative in the text domain, nobody was thinking about voice, even though voice is the most human interface that we have. Natural human communication, it's indeterminate. It is messy. It is sticky and icky. And around all of the text is this profound depth of excitement and patience and nervousness. Like you can hear it in my voice. There's a lot more than the words, right? There's a lot more I'm trying to get across from my brain into your brain using more than my words. And yet, technology speaks to us like this. These boxes and keyboards and typing and tapping, and we spend more time speaking this language than we do speaking the human one. From a young age, we adapted ourselves to this language, but not everyone had that same luxury. I'd like to read you an excerpt from my texts with my mom. Both my phone and my computer does not download photos from those 3 websites. And they are the websites who are connected together. They are the same company. Sent with Siri. It reads like poetry, doesn't it? But hey, it's not her fault, right? These interfaces were not designed for her or for humans more generally. From CLI to GUI to touch to AR and VR, we were promised that it would get more human, more intuitive. We were promised by Zuck that there would be a world where we'd all be floating around in the metaverse, being friends with each other and being robots, yet that future doesn't really seem like it's going to happen. Our attention, our ability to socialize with each other, our patience, our relationships with other humans have all been deteriorated. And so, if we're going to be spending more of our time and more of our lives integrating with this technology, I'd rather we do it on our terms, in our language, not its terms in its language. So that's how we got here. Let's talk about where we're going. The next great interface shift will be what we call human interfaces. Taking the entire nonverbal relational stack that we have between each other as humans and putting it between every human and every machine. It will look a lot like her, where the human relational protocol is the default way that we interact with technology. Of course, we'll still have keyboards and we'll still have menus and text and screens, but the vast majority of what we do today on those devices will be done via this protocol. Your phone, your laptop, your microwave, every business and service in your lives, you will have a one-to-one relationship with. And it will speak your language, your weird, personal language, like you have it with a friend. Instead of going to the doctor's office and filling out all these forms and screens and booking appointments and calendar views, you'll just talk to it like it's a nurse. Instead of struggling and getting stressed about your taxes, you'll just get the same advantage that everyone else with teams of tax professionals have to help you. Every device, every brand that you interact with will feel like a person that you know. And it's not sci-fi. This is just first principles. The ultimate communication protocol has and will always be human conversation. Not just as tools, but as counterparts. We will argue with them. We'll forgive them. They will have their own memories and personality. We will trust them. And when we get there, these services will stop feeling like apps and start feeling like relationships. How this will come about in consumer and business will look different. So let's break it down. In consumer, again, it will look something like that movie, Her. An omnipresent, deeply personal agent that's with you at all times and has full context of your life. But it can't be 3 steps deep in an app, right? You can't go digging through your home screen to get something done like we are today with a ChatGPT app, for example. It needs its own hardware. It needs to be always on, always listening, always with us, with no barrier in the middle. So we're left waiting for Apple or Google or maybe OpenAI to make the move and get it deployed on hardware. But we know that when that moment happens, you will see the fastest distribution of a new interface modality that we have ever seen. It will be faster than the adoption of ChatGPT. Why? Because there's no learning curve. We all know how to speak this language. For businesses, it will look a bit slower. The most essential services in our lives will unfortunately be stuck a bit in the past. Anytime you call your airline, anytime you call the IRS, your bank, your healthcare provider, it will still feel like navigating through these IVR trees and going to 3 different departments, and then you have to call back again, just that whole frustrating rigmarole. And it makes sense why. Integrating all of these different microservices in an enterprise into one unified interface has never been done before. And so it's going to take a pretty multidisciplinary and multi-org effort within these teams to get it across the line. It will take time. And then once you have all of the data, you need to make sure that these agents that are now allowed to interact with real customer data are not going to go off the rails. You can't have it telling customers to eat rocks. It's just not going to happen. And then, once it's live in production, we then need the ability to constantly push the performance as the models improve. But this skill set, the primitives, the frameworks, the best practices, have not even been built yet. And so to think that also within enterprises they're going to figure it out it's hard. So our thesis is that, like with web in the early 2000s, the companies that take the interface seriously as a strategic priority are the ones who will win the decade following. Think about Amazon. It was a radical idea to treat your website like a retail location, and then to invest engineering in building custom A/B experimentation software and analytics software on top of it. But they did, and they won. Same thing happened with mobile. Uber and Facebook didn't outsource their mobile app to a consulting firm. No, they put their best engineers, product, and designers on the surface. And the same thing is happening again with conversation. But building that last mile is hard. And so that's what Vapi is solving. Our mission is to help every business build their human interface. Like websites and mobile, we believe it should be owned by engineering. And we're building the platform to let them build that. Today, we support one-to-one conversations over the phone. Soon, we'll be investing in making these conversations reliable. We've seen plenty of our customers building the same stack in-house with evals, observability, alerting, auto-tuning, the list goes on. So we're going to bring all of that with its best practices from what we've learned working with customers into the platform. And then, finally, and where it gets most interesting, is starting next year, we're going to be investing in omnichannel and memory, which means you can now have long-running, one-to-one, continuous relationships with customers. It's exciting. So if we take a look at that interface path I showed before, we've discovered an alternative path, one that feels more human and more familiar. Voice is the frontier of that path today. And we've only just scratched the surface of what can be done with audio models, speech-to-speech models, and continuous inference models, which you might hear about today. So whoever wields this technology will shape our market, our culture, and the next decade of innovation. We're here today because we believe that when the voice moment happens, it will be just as, if not more significant than ChatGPT. The language barrier between humans and compute will finally be broken. And everybody, even my mom, will have universal access to intelligence. So today, you'll get to hear from folks who are on the frontier of this shift, who are building that future. You'll hear about their challenges, and you'll get to learn from their expertise to see how you can bring it into your companies and your lives. We have, honestly, an incredible set of speakers today from OpenAI, Deepgram, Assembly, and we even have Michael Seibel coming in to share his perspective on platform shifts and how it looks like this one. It's crazy. Just 2 years ago, I was literally on the bus. I was airdropping my AI therapist as a contact card to random people to get them to talk to it, which might be illegal. I don't know. I was just grabbing burritos with Justin Huberti, who in my apartment, who is now leading OpenAI's real-time team and is now our keynote speaker. What has started in a small and humble place has now become the Super Bowl of voice. For this moment, I'd like to thank our sponsors. We have an awesome set of folks from within the voice community and those supporting it from the outside. They know everything is about to change. This movement, it's real now. It's become an unstoppable force. And I might just have another existential crisis, but at least this time I'll have something to talk to that feels human. So join us in building this future. Let's get to work.